At the very center of the cosmos lies Eternia, a world anchored by the legendary Castle Grayskull. Hidden deep within its ancient walls is an artifact of unimaginable cosmic energy, the Sword of Power, a blade capable of turning a mortal into a living god. For generations, a mystical sorceress has guarded this weapon, waiting for a prophesied champion to wield it in Eternia's darkest hour. Unlike his warrior bloodline, young Adam despises combat. He's smaller than the other kids, constantly fails his training drills under the royal guard Duncan, and is effortlessly humiliated in sparring matches by his childhood friend Teela. Things get worse when his father, King Randor, decides to test his son's grit by attacking him with real steel. After brutally overpowering the boy, Randor leaves him with a harsh truth. This cruel universe has absolutely no place for the weak. But Adam doesn't have time to nurse his wounds. Minutes later, the sky splits open. A massive, terrifying armada darkens the capital city, launching a relentless bombardment.
Eternia's elite military, the heroic warriors, scramble into action. But despite their absolute brutality, the royal lines are totally overwhelmed. Duncan coordinates a desperate retreat through the burning corridors, only to be cut off by a cybernetic terror known as Trapjaw. Ordering the royals to run, Duncan engages in a vicious, bloody duel. Teela sneaks back just in time to watch her father stab the monster, only for Trapjaw to convert his arm into a heavy cannon, blasting Duncan and rigging the entire structure to blow. Teela pulls her wounded father out of a window just a split second before the building vaporizes into a fireball. Meanwhile, on the castle bridge, the royal family finds themselves cornered by the Dark Lord himself, Skeletor. King Randor draws his blade, holding off an entire army single-handedly to buy his family time. He fights like a demon, but numbers win. He is captured, his grand statue is shattered by dark sorcery, and Skeletor claims the crown. Inside Grayskull, the sorceress hands the legendary blade to a terrified Adam. His mother, Queen Marlena, explains that they must hide the weapon across the cosmos. The sorceress tears open a reality-bending gateway to a backwater planet called Earth. As Skeletor breaches the inner sanctum, Marlena takes a magical blast to protect her son. The sorceress shields the escape, transforming into a bird, while Adam is pulled through the vortex. The sheer dimensional velocity rips the sword from his grip, plunging them both into the unknown.
15 years later, we are in Oklahoma. Adam is now a fully grown adult, sitting in a restaurant desperately trying to explain his cosmic origin story to a girl on a blind date. Unsurprisingly, she thinks he's a complete lunatic and bolts for the door. When he gets back to his apartment, his roommate Hussein gives him a reality check, telling him his alien prince story is just a coping mechanism for childhood trauma. But Adam refuses to let go of his identity, keeping a hidden chest filled with childhood drawings of his lost family. He spends every free second scouring the dark web for clues about his missing sword. Eventually, his tyrannical boss catches him and threatens to fire him on the spot. But Adam couldn't care less. He just received a tip from a local comic book shop owner claiming to have the exact blade. Adam races to the coordinates and finds his cosmic weapon being used as a cheap prop on a geeky statue. When he tries to pull it free, the entire display collapses on top of him. As a random customer records his public embarrassment on a phone, Adam uses every ounce of his strength to rip the sword from the stone. He raises it high and shouts the ancient words, but absolutely nothing happens. Panicked and holding a stolen artifact, he sprints to his car, escaping a bewildered shop clerk. The next morning, reality catches up with him as two police officers smash through his door and arrest him for grand theft.
While Adam is sitting in the back of a squad car trapped in a brutal traffic jam, the city erupts into madness. Out of nowhere, a massive beast man begins tearing through vehicles, ripping the door right off Adam's police cruiser. Adam shatters the window, fleeing onto the crowded highway, with the beast hot on his heels. The monster hurls heavy cargo boxes, knocking Adam to the asphalt and separating him from his blade. Just as the creature prepares to execute him, a high-tech energy blast strikes its chest. An armored warrior dives into the fray, beating the monster back with precision strikes. When she turns around and calls him by his name, Adam realizes his savior is none other than a grown-up, battle-hardened Teela. Their reunion is cut short when the beast tackles her, but Teela recovers, reclaims the sword, and navigates them through traffic to her hidden spacecraft parked in a public park. They seal the hatch just as the monster latches onto the hull. Teela activates an interdimensional slipstream, throwing the creature off into the void as they blast back to their homeworld. When the ship breaks atmosphere, Adam's heart shatters. The glorious capital of Eternos is nothing but smoking, jagged ruins. And to make matters worse, a cybernetic bounty hunter named Triclops is tracking their ship from the shadows.
Deep within a subterranean base, the desperate remnants of the Eternian resistance are hiding. When Teela brings Adam in, the hardened freedom fighters laugh in his face. They refuse to believe this scrawny guy holding an HR business card is their long-lost prince. They disarm him and lock both Adam and Teela in a holding cell. Inside the dark cell, they find two things: a massive, hyper-advanced combat droid named Roboto and a completely passed-out drunkard covered in rags. Suddenly, Skeletor's dropships locate the base and begin carpet-bombing the bunker. As the ceiling crumbles, Adam convinces Roboto to use its mechanical strength to effortlessly tear down the cell door. Teela rushes to revive the drunkard, splashing water in his face, only for the old man to vomit directly onto Adam's shoes. It's Duncan! The once mighty general has completely given up hope. As the base collapses, the group flees into an underground canyon network, cornered by Trapjaw and a battalion of shock troops. Duncan is paralyzed by fear, so Adam tries to use his corporate HR negotiation skills to talk things out. Trapjaw responds by violently throwing him over the edge of a bridge. Dangling over an abyss, Teela screams at him to use the weapon. As Adam's hand grips the hilt, a vision of the sorceress flashes in his mind, commanding him to speak the incantation. Adam draws the steel and roars, "By the power of Grayskull, I have the power!" A massive, blinding bolt of lightning fractures the cavern, knocking back the entire army. When the smoke clears, Adam has been physically reshaped into a towering, muscle-bound demigod. A brutal rematch ensues. Trapjaw tries to overwhelm him, but Adam effortlessly deflects energy blasts with his heavy bracelets, grabs Trapjaw's cybernetic weapon arm, and literally tears it off his torso, using the villain's own cannon to obliterate the remaining enemy squad.
The heroes escape via dropship, but Skeletor is completely furious. He locks down the planet, executing resistance fighters until someone breaks and reveals the truth. The champion is Prince Adam. Back in the forest, the team regroups. Duncan finds his old armor, cleans himself up, and reminds Adam that a true hero fights for the people, not for personal glory. But the peace is short-lived. A massive projection of Skeletor appears in the sky, offering a grim ultimatum: surrender the sword, or he will publicly execute Adam's captured parents. Despite Teela warning him it's a suicide mission, Adam flies straight into Snake Mountain. He fights his way through a gauntlet of elite biological monsters, using their own spiked bodies as weapons, finally proving to the spirit of his father that he is no longer a coward. But the victory is stripped away when the dark sorceress Evil-Lyn freezes Adam in place with a stasis spell. In the chaos, the cavern collapses, crushing King Randor. The king dies in his son's arms, and a devastated Adam is knocked unconscious, stripped of his power. Adam wakes up in a damp cell, back in his fragile human form, reunited with his grieving mother. Meanwhile, up at the altar of Castle Grayskull, Skeletor tries to wield the blade, but it rejects him. Evil-Lyn explains they must conduct a dark blood ritual on the central nexus. Back in the cells, Adam rallies the remaining broken warriors, delivering an inspiring speech about unity. With Roboto blasting the structural weak points, the prisoners break out, hijack enemy ships, and launch a full-scale war on the capital streets.
Adam and Teela breach the inner sanctum of Grayskull just as Skeletor places the blade on the altar. A frantic, chaotic melee erupts, but Skeletor unleashes a torrent of dark energy directly into the Sword of Power, causing the legendary artifact to violently shatter into a million jagged pieces. With the weapon gone, Skeletor grabs Adam by the skull, channeling a horrific curse that forces the boy into a terrifying mental loop. Adam is thrust into psychological illusions of his Earth life. His blind date turns into a mocking Skeletor. His corporate boss tortures his mind, and his roommate dies in front of him. Skeletor stabs a physical shard of the broken blade into Adam's chest, mocking his weakness. But inside the deepest layer of the illusion, the spiritual manifestation of the sorceress appears. She reveals the ultimate cosmic secret. The sword was never the source of the magic. The ancient incantation says, "I have the power," because the magic was inside Adam's soul all along. He was chosen not for his physical strength, but because his human empathy and compassion made his spirit unbreakable.
He opens his eyes, grips the metal shard embedded in his flesh, and rips it out. His pure, unfiltered willpower acts as a cosmic magnet, summoning the shattered fragments of the blade back into a flawless, glowing whole. He speaks the words one final time, unleashing a transformation so blinding it illuminates the entire planet. Skeletor mocks him, launching a desperate, final magical assault. But Adam doesn't even flinch. Moving with godlike speed, he deflects the magic, corners the Dark Lord, and unleashes a furious sequence of strikes. Skeletor begs for mercy, but Adam channels the infinite energy of Grayskull into the Dark Staff, overloading it until a colossal shockwave detonates across the kingdom. When the dust settles, Skeletor is completely vaporized, leaving nothing behind but a hollow, smoking skull. 6 months later, Eternia is completely rebuilt. Queen Marlena sits safely on the throne, Roboto has a hyper-advanced new chassis, and Adam even brings his Earth roommate Hussein to the alien metropolis just to prove he wasn't crazy. As a new distress signal blares across the kingdom, Prince Adam steps forward, accepting his true destiny under a legendary new moniker, He-Man. But as the camera pulls back into the deep woods, the shadows hold one final twist. A mysterious hidden princess emerges holding a matching sister blade, while Evil-Lyn recovers the dark skull of her fallen master.
If you loved this epic breakdown, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an ultimate story breakdown.